when we originally talked, and all three of us, the original goal was at the end of the 2-week period to have the frame up and under roof. And as people watching this can see, we essentially have a nearly complete building. Really all it's missing are some doors, some interior panels, some flooring in a few places. But we have a frame up, a lot of flooring in place, a lot of interior wall panels, all the siding, all the roof. What do you chalk that up to? That's more than double what originally we thought we'd accomplish.
Oh, that's totally dedication of the people that worked here and their ability to grasp a work ethic that a lot of people in this country have sort of forgotten. And everybody that came out here had that kind of work ethic, that ability to stay focused on task for more than 8 hours a day to complete something. And that's exactly what this took from our employees, from the guild members, from your staff, from the people that volunteered. A lot of 12-hour days is exactly what we attribute that to. And if you're like everybody else I know, before this is complete, you'll have goats in here, or cows. And you could, you're absolutely right. It's far enough along right now that you could put a pen up in there right now and you could put some goats in there.
Coming out here every day and talking with lots of people who just visited, the comment was, well, you really couldn't tell who was in charge. You couldn't tell.
Neither could we.
Yeah, well, sometimes there was a little. It was more a case of not being able to tell the difference between who's supervising and who's working, because everybody's working, and really can't tell who's a guild person from who's a Trillium Dell person from who's a volunteer, a local volunteer. How do you explain that, or can you?
I can. We're not strangers to each other. Rick and I have worked together on a variety of projects. Rick's number 2 man, Matt, is a life member of the Guild. There's lots of crossover between public and private in our history. We've done Guild Trillium Dell projects in the past, but I think we would have that same kind of relationship with any of the professional firms under our umbrella, because we all, work isn't really a 4-letter word. It's more like it's like that Robert Frost poem where he says that he's able to blend vocation and avocation as 2 eyes make one in sight. We actually enjoy this. This is not a struggle or a dismal labor in the trenches. It's a lot of fun. It's animating. It's a lot of fun to work in groups of like-minded people. Our people are under strict instructions to function both as teachers and students every hour of every day, and not just when the sun's up, but around the campfire at night too. We're pretty good at what we do, but we are still plenty humble enough to recognize that our colleagues have something to teach us every hour of every day. So you see people that are very alert to what's going on around them, perfectly willing to pick up the other end of something that's being held by somebody they've never met before and just figure it out. And I hope that's not unique. I think it's not unique. I think it happens in other parts of the culture. I hope so.
I know my experience has been that it does happen, but it is important to recognize it when it does, because it's not happening everywhere all the time.
Well,
Partnerships, from my experience and my thinking, are crucial to our being able to move forward, whether it's on a barn or whether other projects. And yet they're not so common that we take them for granted.
no, true enough. It's easy to despair about the future, the immediate future of the country, and we always advocate that people put down the remote and get off the couch and come out and give us a hand, because we're pretty good at figuring out where people are in terms of their confidence level and their skill set, and I can nearly guarantee that if you come out on one of these projects, I can find meaningful work that's within your grasp and is safe and productive. And the goal there is for you to take ownership of whatever it is that we're building, because almost none of my guys will ever see this building complete. They won't come back. They came for the process, not the product. And when we're successful, we don't lose sight of that.
Great. I want to thank you, Joel.
The pleasure's ours.
And you, Rick, for sharing your 2 weeks and your organizations with us, and for becoming my colleagues professionally and personally, I think. Something I want to make sure gets said, which came out the other evening when we were talking, is that many times we find old buildings, timber frame type buildings, really historic buildings, and we don't know what to do with them. We can tell that they're not going to last much longer, and for most of us, it's a very practical consideration is how can we get it saved. Rick's organization focuses on not getting involved until there's an adaptive reuse, which from his perspective is important consideration. I think each situation with each structure is different and requires a really creative approach. We were approached a year and a half ago with this barn, with the Gindler barn, with the idea of would we accept its donation. At the time that we first looked at it, we had no idea if we would accept it. We didn't know how we could use it. We didn't know what it was going to take to reuse it, or if the building was significant enough for us to expend the resources, the time, the effort to get it done. Rick was able to come in, give us the rationale and assessment of the building, its condition, its significance, and its age, and could get it down, get it off the site in the 10 days that we had to work in. After that, it became a discussion of, okay, now we have this beautiful thing, what are we going to do with it and how can we accomplish it? I think if historic structures are going to be saved, we have to operate on a very high level of faith that, number one, it's worth saving, and if it's worth saving, that's good enough reason to save it, and then discuss how it can be reused. Anyway, that's my speech on historic buildings. This is Mark Badisch, Director for the Collinsville Area Recreation District, with Joel McCarty, Director of the Timber Framers Guild, a national not-for-profit educational organization out of Massachusetts who brings its members from all over the country to a site to engage in timber framing, and they're an exciting, very focused group of folks, very professional. And with Rick Collins, founder of Trillium Dell Timberworks, a business from Knoxville, Illinois, that specializes in the adaptive reuse of timber frame structures. Thank you.